We don't have time to sit on our hands as our planet burns. For young people, climate change is bigger than election or re-election. It's life or death. The Earth should not be a worse place after my life than it was when I was born here. A nation that destroys its soils destroys itself. Forests are the lungs of our land, purifying the air and giving fresh strength to our people. It's not that the world hasn't had more carbon dioxide, it's not that the world hasn't been warmer. The problem is the speed at which things are changing. We are inducing a sixth mass extinction event kind of by accident, and we don't want to be the extinctee. We are the first generation to feel the effect of climate change and the last generation who can do something about it. Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species, and we need to work collectively together and stop procrastinating. One thing leads to the other. Deforestation leads to climate change, which leads to ecosystem losses, which negatively impacts our livelihoods. It's a vicious cycle. Climate change is a huge challenge, but it can be brought in line if governments, businesses, and individuals work together. I hold a vision of this blue-green planet, safe and in balance. At the end of the fossil fuel era, we are emerging to a new reality. We are ready to make the next leap, as momentous as abolishing slavery or giving women the vote. Climate change knows no borders. It will not stop before the Pacific Islands, and the whole of the international community here has to shoulder a responsibility to bring about sustainable development. It's not climate change that needs to be tackled. It is the political power of the fossil fuel industry. The world is reaching the tipping point beyond which climate change may become irreversible. If this happens, we risk denying present and future generations the right to a healthy and sustainable planet. The whole of humanity stands to lose. We really need to kick the carbon habit and stop making our energy from burning things. Climate change is also really important. You can wreck one rainforest, then move, drain one area of resources and move on to another, but climate change is global. The Earth is a fine place and worth fighting for. 25 years ago, people could be excused for not knowing much or doing much about climate change. Today we have no excuse. Climate change is the greatest threat to our existence in our short history on this planet. Nobody's going to buy their way out of its effects. I hope to use my celebrity to motivate people and contribute to moving our global society back from the brink. I am surprised environment is not at the top of the agenda. What is more important than good and clean air? It's important for me to have hope because that's my job as a parent, to have hope for my kids, that we're not going to leave them in a world that's in shambles, that's a chaotic place, that's a dangerous place. When the well is dry, we know the worth of water. The challenge of pollution and global warming is no longer the science or the rate of innovation, but the rate of implementation. We have the clean solutions, now let's bundle them and install them. Climate change is the Everest of all problems, the thorniest challenge facing humankind. The strongest governments on Earth cannot clean up pollution by themselves. They must rely on each ordinary person, like you and me, on our choices, and on our will. Gordon Brown thinks you can solve climate change by changing your light bulbs. I think you should solve climate change by changing the government. Pollution and climate change by excessive burning of fossil fuels are real threats, not the people who warn that we must take these threats seriously. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. I've starred in a lot of science fiction movies and, let me tell you something, climate change is not science fiction. This is a battle in the real world. It is impacting us right now. One of the biggest obstacles to making a start on climate change is that it has become a cliché before it has even been understood. Climate change isn't something people get to choose to believe or not, it's happening. One can see from space how the human race has changed the Earth. Nearly all of the available land has been cleared of forest and is now used for agriculture or urban development. The polar ice caps are shrinking and the desert areas are increasing. At night, the Earth is no longer dark, but large areas are lit up. All of this is evidence that human exploitation of the planet is reaching a critical limit. But human demands and expectations are ever increasing. We cannot continue to pollute the atmosphere, poison the ocean and exhaust the land. There isn't any more available. Let's double down on solar energy, let's be more energy efficient, let's weatherize our homes. We can build a better, healthier economy based on good-paying, clean energy jobs. Climate change is a terrible problem, and it absolutely needs to be solved. It deserves to be a huge priority. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope, but I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. I want you to act. I want you to act as you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Climate change is the single greatest threat to a sustainable future, but, at the same time, addressing the climate challenge presents a golden opportunity to promote prosperity, security, and a brighter future for all. The planet will continue to cook. The Earth is in a death spiral. It will take radical action to save us. We are running the most dangerous experiment in history right now, which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. So, we can't save the world by playing by the rules, because the rules have to be changed. Everything needs to change, and it has to start today. Change or be changed, right? And what we mean by that is that climate change, if we don't change course, is going to change everything about our physical world. Small steps will no longer do. The biggest steps need to be taken by those with the biggest boots. Climate change is a matter of life and death. The figures don't add up. We are not all equally responsible. Climate change is intrinsically linked to public health, food and water security, migration, peace, and security. It is a moral issue. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. If you really think that the environment is less important than the economy, try holding your breath while you count your money.